everybody. So this is my A number 2 part 1 video explaining what I did. So I chose the Reader's Theater script for this presentation, and I'm just going to kind of walk you through like what I did, how I would lead this as a lesson, all kinds of things like that. So I'll post the link to my script like in the discussion board, and I'll kind of show you what it looks like. I have my laptop right here, and I'll try my best to show you kind of what it looks like. But kind of to brief like what I did for it. So I chose the scene in one of the later chapters, I think it's like 31, where Mercy is still really upset with her family, and she gets home from school, and her and Tia Inez have like a nice talk about it, and it's very brief, and it like brings Mercy a lot of peace. I really wanted to pick a scene that is like very important to the storyline, and I really liked reading this one, so I chose this one for my script. And I know that there are only 2 characters in this, and so I wanted to add in a 3rd character, and so I chose to add in Mercy's like subconscious, so the like stuff that we read as the narration, and I chose her subconscious. And so during a lesson, before doing this script with a group of kids, I would want to have the conversation about what a subconscious is. So instead of calling it a narrator, as in the way some people do, like fast forwarding, anything like that, I really wanted to showcase like what the subconscious is. And so these thoughts that Mercy's having like as she's talking to Tia, and how like she starts to come to a lot of realization during it. And so I chose to do that, and I would want to have the conversation of like how the subconscious relates to a first person point of view when you're reading a narration or a narrative story. So I chose to do that. And the way I kind of structured my script, let me flip this, maybe not. Let me flip this around. Was I put I have like right here, I have these in italics, just kind of like setting up the scene, and I left a lot of the like the inflection of the voice and everything up to the student. So that's a big thing that it talks about in the book, was there's not a lot of movement that happens, and so that the student is using their voice to capture the feelings and the emotions of the character through like facial expressions and voice inflection. And so I didn't give any kind of instruction on what to do with that. In the script, I only gave instruction on I gave a little bit on when to pause, as if like somebody was going to kind of like have like a reaction to something, and other than that, everything is left up totally to the students. And then I set the scene. So I wrote that the scene starts when Mercy returns home from school, and she's still upset with the family for not telling her about Lolo. And that was it. I wrote the rest of the lines pretty much as the dialogue is written in the book, except for the subconscious part. And so I kind of interpreted it in the way that I heard Mercy's voice, and that would be the same thing that you would want to do if you were teaching this lesson with your students, was you can use the dialogue that is written in the book, but you can also have the students create their own dialogue, and this will show the interpretation that was happening when they were reading the story. And so how you want to use this instructional strategy if you were doing this in your classroom is you need to select a script. So just kind of pick what you would want to do for it, and then you're going to rehearse it. So having the students like have the script with their group and practicing it, so their voices, their gestures, their facial expressions, like how they're interpreting the character, all kinds of things like that, voice projection, like a stage, even though they won't be moving around a lot, and just have them practice it, rehearse it. And then the 3rd step is just like staging it. So basically having your students present it in front of the rest of their in front of their peers, the rest of their classmates, all kinds of things like that. So yeah, that's how to implement it. Kind of the purpose of it, like I talked about earlier, is to just see how your students are like how they are interpreting the text through having them act out like through a character. It's also, I think it's a really good part of like the explore stage of reading. So they are like like bringing their literature to life, and they're engaging with the text in a different way than what they're used to doing. So it just will really kind of send that explore stage home when it comes to reading a book. So again, I'm going to post the script in the discussion board. I didn't go through it a ton here. I don't really have a good way to show you, so I really hope you look it over, kind of look over like how I had written the subconscious and how you can do things like that. And also make sure if you do something that has to do with the subconscious that you are having a conversation of like what that is and what it looks like in text. So for me, it was just making sure that I'm conveying her feelings the best way that I know how, or the way that I interpreted them, and what it is for them, what it would look like, what it looks like in a book, all kinds of things like that. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed my script.